Never a check. No, some myself, large. See, who could have been any outbreak? They decide with Sibia, a pepuno and pepuno for why do I come, Fabra?
Nana Konadu Agyemang Oto Ghana P, but Oba Elmina, Nyanyeno Kro, and Yumukumati, and the way Gary war. Now, Otestino, who they're one of the best Gara with tasting in Ghana. Until mobilize him, I was a few in the BBR was here, Gary processing water problem, and they set up as 31st December Gary processing plant.
Oh, the H-man, me now, Yopa. I'm away a baby will put my child, you crown away your petty. Maybe I'm sure. But I don't ask. So I'll wash. We'll wait here. Or may you from this way, you matter. And I have crown cool poke near how. You to your way, Abra.
Nam ye champers wa sema. To be mo could be a one cook. I know what body.
Eh, ya wo time one now hono. And a Ghana for ma. Now your cookwa brochre koye near man. Ye boduku. Send ya wooden to my back, baby, Duku was a tie no. Young I see I, and two quabrochra. What from one to man? Duku now, Bobby and Charles of Ghana near Catro. Are you from Ghana? Alata for Bogel. Banana would do poor, would the bag Ghana high man, you so money. Then yasam ketwa. Yabusu cream. Yada was what it, Yanko Pon Cow. On one more day. Would then ye, Nana, do him, Sanya, I am out for Casachro. Let us say.
Thank you very much for staying with us. Ghana mourns the passing of a pioneering figure, and that is the former First Lady Nana Konadu Agyemang Rawlings, whose demise took place this morning, we're told, at the Ridge Hospital. She was billed to have an interview with me, a reflective interview looking back on Beijing 1995, 30 years ago. We're going to go on the phone line to speak to a veteran journalist, Tay Kiche, who was with the GBC newsroom, and find out what his encounters with Nana Konadu in the past had been and what he can tell us. Good afternoon, Tay Kiche. Welcome to GBC News.
Good afternoon.
Tay Kiche, if you can hear me, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. First of all, who will you say Nana Konadu Agyemang Rawlings was?
Well, I've known her for quite a long time, and she has been someone I remember as a mother and a wife. Someone who was caring, and I'm really shattered by the news of her death, because we are preparing to celebrate the 5th anniversary of the husband's death, like Lieutenant Rawlings, and then this one drops something on us. It shattered me, actually.
Condolence to all of us, Tay Kiche. I can hugely imagine what it would feel like, given that I personally was billed to speak to her this morning, a reflective interview on Beijing 1995. And at the very last minute, I was asked to hold on while the aide addresses a certain emergency. Now, let's look back at her social life. Who was she socially, and what will you say her impact on women advocacy had been?
Are you asking what her impact has been in the country on women, especially?
Yes, especially women.
That's right. You know, she was a very powerful advocate for the rights of women. You remember there was a conference in Beijing some years ago.
The Fourth World Conference on Women Empowerment in Beijing.
Conference in Beijing. She was heavily involved.
Yes.
Apart from that, she was involved in a lot of, you remember the 31st December Women's Movement.
Absolutely.
It was a movement that championed the rights of women.
Yes.
And empowerment of women. And for that, she did a yeoman's job in making sure that our women got what rights that they should have as human beings, as our mothers, our sisters, aunties, grandmoms, etc., etc. So she has really been a champion of women's rights in our country. And I believe when we write the history of how Ghana got where it is now, through the stage we are with women's rights, children's rights and stuff, she will be one of the people who occupy the top levels of mention when it gets to that time.
Her legacy includes really reshaping the discussion or conversation on women or gender equality, as well as women empowerment. But many will also remember her for her championing the setting up of daycare in order to empower women or set the household woman free to get on to getting herself about. How would you imagine that her story will be written from the viewpoint of a journalist?
I cannot hear you very well. Can you repeat what you just asked?
Nana Konadu Agyemang Rawlings' legacy includes setting up of over 1,800 daycare centers across the country. From a journalist perspective, what will you say her legacy will be founded on?
Her legacy is a very rich legacy when it gets to the empowerment of women. You know, she was able to lead in building even day nurseries in markets so that women could take their children there while they do their business. There is one at Nima Market. The 31st December Women's Movement school there was initiated by Nana Konadu Agyemang Rawlings, you know, and other projects. She was the one who started encouraging more women to get into production, you know, like gari production, leather works, things that really empowered some women, and some of them, I am sure, are right now in businesses because of Nana Konadu Agyemang Rawlings. So her legacy is a very rich legacy when it comes to women's rights, women's empowerment, and all of that which concerns women.
Right. Take it, Chair. Thank you very much for your time. We'll have to leave it here while we get the news coming in. We'll come to you at some point in a subsequent bulletins as this story unfolds. Thank you very much. Take it, Chair. That just gone was a veteran journalist, Tekiche, who was with the GBC newsroom. And we're asking what Nana Konadu stood for and who she had been in public and also private life. We're still having some news trickling in at the passing of Nana Konadu Agyemang Rawlings, the former First Lady, whose legacy, I ask Tekiche, what will define her legacy? And obviously, Nana Konadu cannot be summed up in one sentence. She burst onto the scene in the late 1970s. And through the revolution, she came to identify with women empowerment, so much so that her advocacy and leadership, as well as activism, influenced national policy, changed the conversation, and brought it onto the global stage. In 1995, 30 years ago in Beijing, China, where the world convened to mark the 4th World Conference on Women, Nana Konadu Agyemang Rawlings was there, and her voice resonated right throughout the conference. This afternoon, we look back on who Nana Konadu Agyemang Rawlings has been. Let's go on the phone and speak to another veteran journalist and also a pollster, Ben Efsin, who's joined us this afternoon. Good afternoon, Uncle Ben.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Uncle Ben, condolences to all of us, first of all.
Yes. Strong woman. Very strong woman.
Uncle Ben.
Yes.
What will you say, or who will you say Nana Konadu Agyemang Rawlings has been insofar as Ghanaian social and political life is concerned?
Oh, I think that Mrs. Rawlings was often, I think, underestimated for her role in the success of the 31st revolution. Mrs. Rawlings was able to commandeer women to make them feel that they are part of what was going on. So, and for that, and at the height of the revolution, she was very strong, very supportive of the husband. And in her own right, 31st December now may not be as strong as before, but during that time, working for the BBC at that time, BBC in London did a lot of documentaries, and I can say that 31st December was like the female counterpart of the military, the soldiers and the cadets who were active. Their female, their wives, their aunties, their mothers, Mrs. Rawlings harnessed them to be able to deliver what her husband was trying to do in general.
Uncle Ben, how would you describe Mrs. Rawlings' relationship with the media in Ghana?
Oh, Mrs. Rawlings was a frank person, hardworking, and she would not hesitate to tell you her mind. I mean, that was one of the things that I liked about her. Mrs. Rawlings will tell you in your face what she wants. She will not wait or tell somebody. She liked the media, but if you cross the line, she will not hesitate to tell you that what you've done is not right. And then you move on. She didn't hold grudges. You know, at that time, at the peak of the revolution, working for the BBC, there were a few times that some of the stories were not palatable in terms of like abuse of human rights at the peak of the revolution. And anytime I had gone to interview her, she had a good memory. She said, look, Ben, you said this. I would try to explain the news angle. He would say, no. You were Ghanaian first. Now, how can I help you?
Right. Uncle Ben, you may have covered some events involving Mrs. Rawlings. What will you say are some of the most memorable moments of your coverage involving Nana Konadu Agyemang Rawlings?
Please come again.
You may have covered events which involved or where Nana Konadu Agyemang Rawlings was present. What will you say are the most notable or most memorable for you?
Oh, I think her frankness and hard work. She was very frank. She would tell you her peace of mind, and you should not hold a grudge. Once she tells you her peace of mind, the interview, what you want, she'll give it to you.
Right.
No grudges.
Right. let's look at her influence on women and her advocacy or her championing of the rights of women. How did that impact on national policy or influence national policy, if you like?
Oh, I think that she made the women understand that you can help in nation building. 31st December may have whittled down now, but at that time, 31st December, she made it a strong organization. She made women feel that they could be part of ensuring that the country was built forward. So you could see that in the aftermath of the military rule into democratic dispensation, quite a number of women were involved in politics. And most of those women were members of 31st December at that time.
Uncle Ben, you have mentioned her influence as well as her championing the rights of women. In maybe one sentence or two, how will you sum up what her legacy or what she'll be remembered for?
Oh, I think Mrs. Rawlings should be remembered for her fortitude, her frankness, and her political acumen.
Right.
She was very political. Don't underestimate her with that.
All right. Thank you very much, Uncle Benefsin. We'll leave it here. That on the phone was Benefsin, the pollster and the veteran journalist who's also shared what her memories and reflections are on Mrs. Nana Konadu Agyemang Rawlings, the former First Lady, whose demise occurred this morning at the Ridge Hospital. We're still looking back and on the legacy of Nana Konadu Agyemang Rawlings and who she's been and what she stood for. I have mentioned earlier that her advocacy and activism shifted the conversation more or less, or reshaped the discussion of women empowerment as well as gender equality. She influenced national policy by her advocacy and facilitated the setting up of over 1,800 daycare centers across the country, some which took place in markets in an attempt to help market women drop off their ward at the daycare so they can be liberated to go on and do their business as usual. Nana Konadu Agyemang Rawlings, as Benefsin had just mentioned, stood for everything women empowerment. She did not relent on that. She pioneered the formation of movement, the 31st December Women's Movement, which mobilized women, empowered women, and ensured that no woman, insofar as they are willing, is left behind. This is the person, Nana Konadu Agyemang Rawlings. We'll shortly be going on the phone once again to engage our next guest who will be talking to us. We're trying to see if we can reach someone who could be more personal and more close up to give us some background. You're still watching GBC News. The nation mourns Nana Konadu Agyemang Rawlings.
Ne papa ana ne nana eye me papa me maami enua bema ne nua bema ba ko pebra me ba she's my direct niece me nua eba ai ne nua baba na ye ma no so cousin pa ni nti ye nja no wo mu bibi opese ye ne ne ye no ye ne ne be ye me mom de enu kra mu me ye bibi match man but Yekutam kakra. Nakuya, emisi nakuya. Necha. Me de falso. Na wa ma queen mother say wa hanyina. Me aya na me nua we wo pesu. Enso na mesu chen. I mean I was tearing. Ama woman who said, I really appreciate it, and I am very grateful. I don't take it for granted at all. Baby, or can't say or yes, say, me say, hey, who bet to me? Or so, bet to me, yes. She quoted for me that it takes a woman. Intermediate means someone who are hanging now. No, it takes a woman. I can only say a big thank you for this honor done to me. Actually, I'm shocked because I thought I was being called to come and talk about women and farming. Intimate as a papa.
As the master of ceremony for this very event where Mrs. Rawlings met all queen mothers in agriculture, it's really a deep moment for me. Let's go on the phone and speak to a women's rights advocate, Esther Terrier, and pick her mind or her understanding of who Mrs. Rawlings has been. Good afternoon, Esther. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your listeners, and thanks for having me.
Thank you. Esther, first of all, what will you say has been your most memorable recollection of Mrs. Nana Konadu Agyemang Rawlings?
As an activist, what comes into my mind is that we have lost a pioneer in the field of activism, in the field of feminism. This is a woman who was in a place of power and could use the power to help the most vulnerable, that is the women. And so quickly what comes into my mind is the 31st December movement. And as a young lady growing up in New Sapo in the Eastern region, our 31st December women's movement oil plantation plants, where these women were being empowered through some of her initiatives. They were able to do palm oil and, economically empower themselves.